one.
All right, welcome into the latest episode of Before Floor, sponsored as always by Biscayne Bay Brewing. Make sure to go to the website, find out where you can get it. Also, they're opening their new brew house right downtown Miami near the arena. We're going to start doing some watch party stuff there. Once COVID passes, of course, we're a year from the NBA shutting down because of COVID, actually. Tonight, 1 year ago today, at this time, I was arriving at the arena, a half-empty arena, because some people didn't want to go that night. Of course, the Rudy Gobert thing happened. We found out basically in the third quarter what was going on there, and that was the last time we were actually at the arena. I haven't spoken to a player in person in a year, basically since pregame that night. That's the last time. Now, we've got Alejandro Villegas at the arena tonight. He's up there, our producer. He'll be taking pictures. Make sure that you follow him and his account tonight. Also, Alex Toledo, I would assume, will be there at some point. You can follow him at Tropical Blanket. All right, well, he'll be there at some point. We've got Ricky J. Mark above me. We've got Brady Hawk also next to Ricky. We've got Greg Sylvander, whose hard drive just crashed, so he's on a phone somewhere from the Netherlands. We apologize to Greg for that. But we want to tell you about another sponsor. We're really excited about this. We've got a sponsor for the entire rest of the season of Before Floor. We love involving our listeners and our viewers here. Our friend Lynette, who you can always see her comments there. There she is. This is she's from Aggressive Insurance Agency, and there's the phone number there, 954-581-8800. She's sponsoring the entire rest of the season, regular season at least, of Before Floor. So you're going to see her on here, not just from the comments, but she's got an insurance broker agency. She's been servicing South Florida for over 15 years. They offer auto insurance, homeowners, condo, life, also retirement programs. They give free notary services to all clients. They represent the leading insurance carriers in South Florida. If you've got a bad driving record, no problem. No driver is refused, and they do free phone quotes. I know someone I'm going to reach out to for her because I know a bad driver who could certainly need the help. But if you need any of her information here, you can find her on Twitter at Aggressive INS, Aggressive INS. That's for Aggressive Insurance. Also, she's on Instagram and Facebook, and the website is insurancebylynette.com, insurancebylynette.com, or 954-581-8800. All right, let's get to the show today. Maybe Lynette will pop in here with us. Again, Greg just faded out. I'm assuming he'll be back. Brady, give us the latest. We'll get to Alejandro from the arena. But Brady, give us the latest from the pregame calls.
Yeah, so for the Magic, obviously Evan Fournier is out. Terrence Ross has been out. James Ennis has been out. So it's basically all the Heat killers of the past. And Aaron Gordon is going to play. He's going to start, but he's going to be on a hardcore minutes restriction most likely. And then obviously basically that leaves the only guy is Nikola Vucevic is healthy and is going to play. And that's the hole in Miami's lineup, and because Bam Adebayo will not play tonight as well.
Yeah, and this is a team that's already without Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz for the season. So they've been decimated. They're more decimated. We certainly see that the Heat have lost to G League type teams before. The Clipper game earlier this season with no Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard, no Patrick Beverley, no Nicholas Batum. The Heat still lost that game. We're going to go to Ricky and Alejandro, but before Greg disappears here again, there cannot be excuses made tonight, correct? I mean, no Bam Adebayo, but you're at home against a team that, I mean, really, it's Vucevic and G Leaguers, essentially.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I feel like Jimmy Butler is the best player on the floor. They got to win, and they're at home. And we've kind of crossed the point where we can say, oh, they can afford to lose another one. It's just February, or it's just March, or it's just, like those, all that kind of stuff is kind of thrown out the window. They cannot afford to lose anymore that they're supposed to win, and they're supposed to win tonight.
Ricky, let's get to this, and then we're going to get to some of the trade conversation. Miami, we talked about this in a recent episode. 36 games in the season, 18-18. I feel like to a certain extent it's a wash. You throw a lot of it out. They didn't have their big three together all but 75 minutes. That's all they had them for. I guess they're starting the second half without Bam. I don't expect Bam to play the next game either, because I don't know why he would travel for the back-to-back. So honestly, I think probably they're going to be first two games here without Bam. But what is a reasonable expectation in terms of the way that they start this thing? I know we talked to you on the last episode kind of on Floor is Yours about sort of how they might project for the season. But they got to make a statement early on, right? That they're different than the first half?
Yes, that you're absolutely right. They do, but it's going to be hard to do that when your other max player is going to be out for a little bit. And that's one thing. The second thing is when he comes back, is he going to be aggressive? That's a whole nother story altogether. Jimmy can only do so much as the number one guy, as the, pretty much the Swiss Army knife for this team. If Jimmy extends himself this throughout the rest of the season, the next 5, 6, 7 games, that still begs the question: are we going to get anything out of Kelly Olynyk more than once every 5 games? Is Goran going to have enough left to sustain a high level of play? Is Tyler Hero going to be back and aggressive? We have a lot of question marks right now. Jimmy's going to do his thing, but 500 ball is what I'm expecting at best.
Well, they got to be better than that. Alejandro, let's go to you at the arena. I saw you taking some videos of Duncan Robinson and others on the court. There have been more fans who've been let in lately. It felt a little bit more like a real atmosphere the last time. Late arriving Heat crowd. What does it look like there tonight?
Well, right now, Miami. There's nobody here yet. So, we're a little bit less than an hour from the game to start, but there's nobody here. But yes, in the last game I was here, it was about 4,000 people. So you could feel the difference between the two atmospheres. The first game I got here, it was pretty much empty. So it was very weird to watch a basketball game like that. I saw today early was Duncan Robinson and I think Casey Opala were the ones shooting. Kelly Olynyk got some shots in as well. Well, tried to get in, I guess. And then right now it's Andre Iguodala and Precious working out on the floor. But yeah, that's it. So yes, we expect more people and a better atmosphere tonight, especially with the Heat. Now finally at 500, this is a good game. Orlando is always hard for the Heat. So it should be a good matchup. We don't have Bam, so they're going to have to find a way to stop Vucevic, and we'll see what happens.
But Bam, I feel for you, Alejandro, because I know the feeling of being at the arena where you have to wear the mask the whole time, but both you and I wear glasses.
Yeah.
To look at anything, and by the end of the first quarter, my glasses are completely fogged up. So they need a solution for that. Ultimately, just don't wait online for Papa John's. That's what I would suggest. All right, let's get to the trade talk today. Greg, credit where credit is due. You were first. Nobody credited you, but you were first as far as reporting the Heat's interest in LMA. LaMarcus Aldridge yesterday. I saw that Barry, Sam Amico, who covers the Cavs, but also the NBA, not Sam Amick, but Sam Amico, I know Sam a little bit, based up in Cleveland, both reported that the Heat are in on LaMarcus. He also reported that I think Portland or Boston, other teams. We've talked about Portland. But then I wanted to clarify, because you, I, and Adam have all heard the same thing. They're interested in LaMarcus Aldridge, but they're more interested in Rudy Gay. LaMarcus Aldridge is kind of the piece that might come along, who carries a big salary. But the target on San Antonio is Rudy Gay, who, as I tweeted, they have a long-standing relationship with. He spends a lot of time in Miami. He trains down here. I ran into some people on Las Olas the other night who say they run into Rudy all the time down here. He's always talking about the Heat. I was on a trip to Haiti with the Heat in 2010 after the earthquake. It was a Project Metashare trip that Dwayne and Alonzo, primarily Alonzo, led. The non-Heat player on that trip prior to free agency, Rudy Gay. And he spent the time in the back of the bus talking about how much he loved this organization. So, let's get to it. How did they get Rudy Gay? Because I think we focused a lot on Aldridge. They may get him, but they could get both potentially. But Kelly or Andre is going to have to go the other direction.
Yeah. Kelly definitely, I think, would be part of that package, and I think that they'd be willing to do that if they were getting LaMarcus Aldridge and Rudy Gay in that scenario. The LaMarcus Aldridge component of it is really like take Avery Bradley, Mo Harkless, and Myers Leonard, or else we'll wait for him to get bought out, is kind of how I understand that. When you add Rudy Gay to the mix, I think Miami would be more willing to include some sort of, obviously, some more incentive for San Antonio to do that type of trade, because it would not only be like a young piece or a second-round pick, but they may want a functional player for the balance of the season, like Kelly Olynyk, for instance. So I think we would head in that direction, and they're probably going to troll the league and see if they can get more for Rudy Gay, and probably be unsuccessful.
Yeah, and look, he wants to be here. I know they want to take care of Aldridge. I think the sense that we all get is that Aldridge's first choice might be Portland. Obviously that was home for him for a long time. He was the star. Then it became Lillard. I know they had some issues at the end, but I've heard they've patched those issues, and Damian would like to have him back. So I could see that definitely happening. By the way, before I go to Brady and Ricky and Alejandro again, remember, we got a Super Chats feature here. I want to get Brady some new gear. So let's get the Super Chats going if you want. That's always an option here. But Brady, let's go to you on this. Who do you think they should start tonight without Bam? KO slides to the 5, I would assume. Do you give Harkless another chance tonight to show he maybe can fit in here in the second half of the season?
I think they go with KZ Okpala again, just because they had confidence in him last game with the same situation. I think the smartest thing to do, obviously from a player perspective, is start Precious, but you can't because there's no backup big. So that probably will not happen. So I do think KZ Okpala or Mo Harkless are the only two options. But right now, it's weird because they're total opposites. One's a veteran that's non-functional at the moment, and one's a young guy that's growing. And if you're choosing from those two things, I definitely think you go with the young guy who has, some intensity on the defensive end, at least, even if he's not in the right spots all the time.
I want to go to you, Ricky, on this. Rudy Gay's NBA career is interesting in that he was a very good small forward for a long period of time, but was always kind of behind the other level, right? Like, the one shot he made against the Heat, I remember, over LeBron at the end of the game, in the first year of the Big Three, the game that Udonis went out, they got hurt in that game, so it was sort of a traumatizing game for the Heat in general. But he's been a very consistent, very good player for a long time. But I feel like the narrative on him has changed a little bit, where now he's kind of emerged as role guy who can fit into a good program. You do that in San Antonio, you probably can do that in Miami. How do you evaluate his career, and what would he add?
So I think one thing we also need to mention about Rudy Gay is that it's been said for many years that the team that trades Rudy Gay gets better. Memphis, Toronto, that also needs to be mentioned about him as well. As you said, in recent years, he's become, I guess, he's calmed down a little bit more in a sense. But of course, that's the equalizing effect that a San Antonio or a Miami system would generally give you. Rudy Gay at this point in his career, if he slots into a team where he's not needed, he doesn't need to be the savior, he can just score, rebound, maybe even defend a little bit, then you can start to see him as the kind of player where it's like, oh, okay, he's really helpful. He can give you a little bit here and there. But I think as long as we don't expect him to carry us to the finish line, a la Jimmy Butler or a Goran Dragic, then he'll be able to really play better in that role. The player that comes to mind when I think of that is Lamar Odom in Los Angeles. For a couple of years, he was expected to be Kobe's Pippen, and that wasn't working out because that wasn't the kind of player he was. But once the Lakers acquired Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum came into his own, he was able to slot in and basically become a Swiss Army knife. If Rudy Gay is able to continue to be that in the event that Miami's lucky enough to trade for him without giving up too many pieces, then it works out as well for Miami as it did when the Heat acquired Jay Crowder and Iggy at around the deadline last year.
It's interesting. I totally forgot that narrative, but you're right. That narrative existed for a while. Whenever Rudy Gay left the team, they got better. That Memphis, because he was part of that kind of big three with Conley and Randolph in Memphis, and as soon as Rudy went, they improved. But it is funny how players, when they get into their 30s, they kind of take on a different personality. And it does seem like his overall defensive numbers are much better in recent years than they used to be. It reminds me a little bit, this one didn't totally work out for the Heat, but it reminds me a little bit of Rashard Lewis. Rashard was a scorer, had a big contract, sometimes a 20-point scorer. He was big as a stretch for those Stan Van Gundy teams. And then he came to Miami, and they just kind of wanted to plug him in for 15 to 20 minutes. He ended up starting in the last finals, although that didn't go so well. But I can see them evaluating Rudy as a player like that, player who had a scoring pedigree, who maybe might accept a role here for sure. All right, let's get to the picks. I think we've lost Greg because he's lost his hard drive, but he'll be back with me for the post game tonight on the pod, 5 on the floor. Remember, we've got we need a name, by the way. We need a name for the post-game show, okay? I'm not calling it anything to do with Royal. We want to play off floor. What was your pick, Ricky?
The final floor.
I like it. So
it's March. Why not?
If you guys like it, let us know. But it'll be Royal and Matthew and sort of our 5 Reasons Skyforce will be on there tonight. Let's get to the picks. Alejandro, you're at the game. I'm not getting blamed if they lose. It's you or Alex if he ever shows up. What do
You're
you
always
think?
getting blamed.
I think Miami is going to take this one. We did lose the first game of the season against this team, so it's not something new. And Orlando, like I said before, always finds a way to really make it difficult for the Heat. So I'm going to pick the Heat, but I did pick Vucevic for my prize picks today, so I think he's going to have a good game. I picked him and Jimmy, both on prizepicks.com.
I'm going to go with the exact same picks. Actually, Vucevic might have 45 tonight. Brady, what do you like?
I like the Heat tonight. I think this should be a big Tyler Hero game. I think if Tyler Hero plays well tonight, that does a lot for this team. I think it does a lot for him individually. A boost in confidence to begin the second half stretch without Bam. I think for a team perspective without Bam, if they can get Tyler Hero rolling as a guy that you don't have to rely on their veterans in Butler, Iguodala, and Dragic for these many stretches, I think that's pretty huge for you because you basically know what you're getting. Consistent, scoring wise from Kendrick Nunn. But I do think you need something consistent from Tyler Hero. And if he can continue to get some, playing time, continue to get games in without having the, contact tracing or injuries, I think he can get rolling.
It's funny. First thing, we're not naming the postgame show Crown Royal. So sorry, Royal, not happening. Just making that very clear right now. Final Floor, I think, is good. I think we're going with that. Maybe with the Final Floor with Royal Shepherd, perhaps I'll consider that. Maybe we'll throw your name in. Ricky, you're doing this thing. But let's get to it, Ricky. I mean, again, you've sort of been. I mean, first you said I thought you said yesterday on Floor's Yours, you thought they could have a better second half of the season. Now you're saying you're looking at this as a 500 team. If they're going to be a 500 team the rest of the way, it's because they lose games like this, because they've got a lot of bad teams on the schedule the second half of the year that they shouldn't lose to, but that they did lose to in the first half of the season. Teams that were shorthanded, teams that really shouldn't have been on the floor with them. What do you think tonight?
Yeah, you see, I think the Magic are known historically for having heat killers, a lot of whose names we don't even know anymore. Nikola Vucevic is averaging about 25 and 12 this season, and he's known for getting like 30 games against Miami at the end of December. Granted, it's not December, but I think he's going to have a big game. The heat killers are going to be heat killers, and Miami's going to lose.
Wow. Oh, look at that. Okay. But good.
I have to say it.
He thinks he found his hard drive. So I'm going to move on from Ricky's comments there. I think the Heat win tonight. I think Jimmy with that kind of rest, coming back from the break, we saw what he was like when he got some time off before. And I'm with Brady. To me, the key to the second half of the season is Tyler Hero. We need to see Tyler his numbers are better this year than last year, but we have not seen him take over games as he did sometimes as a rookie, and particularly in the bubble. They need him to be a takeover player at times, particularly when they don't have one of their big three. I think we're going to see a better Tyler game. I think maybe the break refocuses him a little bit. I say 23 points for Tyler tonight on pretty decent efficiency, and I think the Heat win. And also remember, Kendrick Nunn typically plays better against bad teams, okay? I think Kendrick Nunn could get off tonight. Without Fournier, they don't really have a lot in the backcourt right now. I mean, I think Nunn could do a lot tonight. All right. Thanks for joining us again. Thanks to our new sponsor, Aggressive Insurance, our friend Lynette, also to Biscayne Bay Brewing. Post-game show will be sponsored by Miami Grill. We'll be listening, as Alejandro says, Eric Spoelstra. So hang around. Eric Spoelstra's pregame will be on here afterwards. Have a good night. Enjoy the game.
All right, guys. So thank you for staying here with us. Now we're gonna play Eric Spoelstra press conference, a short one before this game tonight against the Orlando Magic, and then we're gonna listen to Jimmy Butler, Goran Dragic, and Andre Iguodala, what they said after the last game of the first half of the season. Let's start with Eric Spoelstra.
I don't think you've had anybody average more than like 33 minutes with this group all year. With the games coming faster and furiouser, if that's a word, in the second half of the year. I mean, are you worried all about minutes, or do you think you've done a pretty good job at this point managing and not overloading people, even with all the in and out of the lineup?
Well, the positive of that has been that a lot of guys have been able to develop some confidence and get comfortable playing some minutes. So our depth, I think, is a little bit more real, than it was, at the beginning of the season. And we feel very comfortable playing, our full roster.
And traditionally, what do you worry about the first game after a break just because nobody's in rhythm, or do you not worry about it because the other team's not going to be in rhythm either when you come off a few days off?
Yeah, it's an even playing field. As long as that's the case, you deal with whatever you need to. We had a very good practice, last night. Had a good prep, just now, and our guys are excited. They're looking forward to this second half of the season.
Thanks, Bob.
Next we have Chang.
Hey, so just to kind of piggyback off that question on the schedule, the first half was obviously relentless already, but to have 9 back-to-backs in the second half, how did the first half prepare this team for what's ahead? And I guess what changes? How does it change what you do in between games with a schedule like that?
I don't think it'll change that much, from what we were doing the last 6 or 7 weeks. I think that experience prepared us, for this. That was pretty fast, that part of the schedule. And like I said, a lot of guys had opportunities to step up and play meaningful minutes and show that they can be productive. That depth, will be useful, and we'll use it appropriately. I don't want to necessarily predetermine it going into this schedule.
Thanks, Bob.
Next we have Ira Wonderman.
Eric, the Board of Governors just approved that two-way players are now eligible for an unlimited number of games, and that they also will be playoff eligible. I know you spoke about this before, but can you just give us your thoughts now that it's rubber stamped?
Yeah, we're glad that everybody agreed to that. It makes a great deal of sense. This is a unique season, and I think you do have to adjust accordingly. And not every team has been affected. I think the 2 teams playing tonight, it makes all the sense in the world because of all the games missed and unpredictable things that have happened. Our two-way guys with Gabe and Max, they've not only prepared, they've showed great promise and potential, but they've also produced and helped us win some important games. So going into the second half of the season, the head coach feels a lot more comfortable. I don't have to worry about the games, and I think they've earned it to the point where they shouldn't have to worry about it, whether they're being held out based on restriction of games, and quite naturally, I think that they should have been included in the playoffs as well.
Thank you.
All right, that was Eric Spoelstra today before the game against the Orlando Magic. Let's read a post that the Miami Heat just put on their Twitter account, talking about the Myers Leonard suspension and fine announced by the NBA today. So let's see it here on our screen. The 5 Reasons pregame show. This is what the Miami Heat is stating. Today, the NBA announced its discipline of Myers Leonard, which included the maximum allowable fine of $50,000, a suspension from all Heat activities for 1 week, and required that he participate in cultural diversity training while we remain hurt and disappointed by what he said. We are encouraged that Myers has started to take the necessary steps to educate himself about why his comments were so offensive. We will continue to communicate with Myers and his representative while he remains away from the team. So those are the words from the Miami Heat that was posted about or less than an hour ago on their Twitter feed. Let's go and listen now to what 3 players said right after their win against the New Orleans Pelicans at the last win before the All-Star break. Let's go and let's listen to Andre Iguodala first. Go ahead, Iggy.
And we'll start with Ira Wonderman. Go ahead.
Thanks. Dre, that fourth quarter, the dunk that almost made it, and you got fouled and got to the line. Stan with the decision to intentionally foul you, and then your dunk at the end. Was it just sort of you just had enough at that point by the time you just went for that dunk?
No, it's just part of the game. Sometimes, getting old, you find your flow. Some days, some other days you don't. But tonight I felt pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Majority part of the year, minus a few nicks and bruises. But I've only missed 2 games, so just trying to get through the year without missing too many. I want to be out there every night and just try to enjoy the game.
Obviously, Jimmy is this team's closer, but every closer needs a helper along the way. Jimmy had 10 in the fourth quarter in that run, but you also contributed also. Was that a mindset thing where you saw an opening for yourself, or did it sort of just come to you? Or was that just statement time, heck, it's the All-Star break, we're not going to have a losing record?
No, I think it's more so just doing what the game says, especially late in the game. We have our keys to the game that we want to have an emphasis on, the things we want to do, and the things that we want to force the issue on. And in the fourth quarter, the game might not say that sometimes, but if it's the winning play, then just been around for a long time, seen a lot of different things, and just looking for my opportunities. And we always talk about it, just putting your step on the game and making winning plays, and that's what happened tonight.
You play with a lot of closers, really good closers over your career. I'm not going to ask you to rank Jimmy with them, but just what kind of special player is he to do the things he does when the team needs him most?
Yeah, he just got that special will. It's something that doesn't show up in the analytics, doesn't show up on the stat sheet, and you really have to know the game. You have to have been around the game for a really long time to identify that trait in certain players. And he's just one of those guys who he'll will you to victory. We saw that in the bubble last year. We saw that in the finals. And, he wants the burden. He wants that responsibility. He's not afraid to fail. And that's, for the most part, half the problem with a lot of guys who don't thrive in those situations.
And last question. I know it's just the midseason and it's just a standings thing, but is it much more comforting at least to go into a week-long break being at 500 and getting to that part where really at 18-18 you could almost restart your season now versus if you had gone into the break 2 games under 500? Thank you, Andre.
I just think we're just trying to, string some good basketball together. We've had some wins this year where we didn't play so well. And then we've also had some losses where we did play well. So, you're trying to find stretches of basketball where you're playing at a high level and you're playing winning basketball. And yeah, the win-loss column may not determine how you're actually playing. So, we got closer to full strength, which is something we struggled with the whole year. But we've done a really good job of weathering the storms and not complaining about that and just, guys stepping up, being ready to play. And, we're in a good position right now to make a good run at, the standings and try to continue to move up the last 2.5 months.
Thank you.
Anthony Chiang, go ahead.
Hey, Andre, kind of go off of Ira's question there. What's it been like for you and I guess the team as well to navigate this schedule with so many games and so few off days? And what are your plans to kind of decompress during this break and use this time off, for good?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. It's interesting circumstances. We're a team of guys who, we lean on one another in normal circumstances, and we can kind of decompress around each other in normal situations. Not all games every other day is just taking a toll on the entire league. But that's just the the curse of business. And guys are just trying to figure out ways to weather it more so mentally than anything. And I just try to keep upbeat, try to be have a pretty keep my perspective in a good place, because there's a lot of people that are struggling right now. A lot of small businesses have having to shut down. A lot of people are struggling. People are searching for stimulus checks and the whole nine. But at the same time, you can't put a price on mental health. No matter what your income is, and guys are the beast of the business is kind of leaning on us a little bit hard, and we're just trying to weather that storm as well. So just trying to be a good teammate, trying to help the guys, trying to figure out ways to interact with them. You actually don't see your teammates that much in this environment. You see them when you're in battle, so it's hard to really connect on a personal level. And then we just separate again. Spo was talking about it's 2 different locker rooms, so just trying to make the most of it, and trying to make sure I take care of my brothers, further beyond the game of basketball.
Tim Reynolds, go ahead.
Hi, Andre. Kind of along those same lines, I am told being a professional athlete is a great job. Obviously, I am not one, but I'm told it's a pretty good gig. Are you guys, is there joy? Is there fun right now, Andre? I mean, games are fun, but is anything else fun right now for you guys?
But you try to make the most of it. Trying to incorporate different things to, make yourself realize the blessings and understand the unique, opportunities that we're having as professional athletes. But at the same time, we're in the business of sports, and I think that's you're seeing it in college basketball, where, you got a lot of students who are out there making money for these schools. And, in the grand scheme of things, you think about it from a human perspective, it's hard to really argue those kids be out there. So just the nature of economics, and this world we live in, where the power of the dollar can bite you, more than we've known throughout time, especially mentally. So trying to have a lot of fun, but at the same time, winning is very important in this business. So it's a roller coaster of emotions in terms of your mood being set by wins and losses. So you're trying to figure out different things to do to have a good balance, and that's something that you see a lot of athletes struggle with sense of self, sense of balance, and then who you actually are and how people view you within the game and outside the game. And one thing I take away from the environment we're in right now is you get a real perspective of what those that you work for, the league, the media, what's really important and how to really do. And, you see true character of a lot of people in this environment.
All right, Dre, thank you.
All right, that was Andre Iguodala. We have the starting lineup for the Miami Heat right now. They just put it out, so let's share with you guys. This is the starting lineup for the Heat tonight. They just put it out there with our friends at Biscayne Bay. It's Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Casey Opala, and Kelly Olynyk. Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Casey Opala, and Kelly Olynyk. That's going to be the starting lineup for the Miami Heat tonight. What do you guys think about this starting five? You can drop your messages down here in the comment section, and of course we'll be commenting on them. So let's keep listening to some Miami Heat players. Let's go now with Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic right after the victory of the Miami Heat against the New Orleans Pelicans. Let's see what he said that day.
I know 500 is just a number, and going to the All-Star break at 18-18 is just the standings. But how much easier is it to go through, like you mentioned earlier today, to shoot around with a 500 record for a week off versus having gone in otherwise 2 games under 500?
Definitely it's better to go in the All-Star break 500. Was a shaky first part of the season. You already guys know it's a lot of moving parts and everything. But in the end, last few weeks we're playing better. We pick up the pace and win some games. And finally, now we're a 500 team. And we're going to have a lot of work to do after the All-Star break. So that's going to be the second part of the season that we're going to have to really, come close as a group and, win those games.
I know you play with a lot of great players over the years, including several here, but Jimmy, as a closer, here you were up 17 early. It's a 4-point game. And it's almost like Jimmy said, enough is enough. What's it like to watch Jimmy just sort of get in that takeover mode?
it's great. I mean, you can see we trust him. We want him to have the ball in those moments, and he always, he always come through. And it's really awesome to watch him, what he's able to do. He can manipulate the game, get to the free throw line. He can make shots. He can involve everybody else. So he's a really unique player that it's awesome to play with him, and happy to have him on this team.
Thank you.
Anthony Chiang, go ahead.
Hey, Goran, I know tonight it resulted in some stats for Andre, but even on nights where maybe the numbers aren't there, how important has Andre been for this team? Whether it's on the court or even off the court as one of the leaders.
Huge. He brings that stability on the floor and even off the floor. He got a lot of experience. He's been in a lot of tough games. He won championships, so it's always nice to have a guy next to you and asking for some advices. And he's like an open book. He got a lot of those advices, and he's sharing those things. Him, OG, those two guys are tremendous for our team. And like I said before, we're happy to have them.
And from what you've seen, what do you think has been the biggest improvement you guys have made over the past 6 weeks? I know it's not one thing, but if you could pinpoint, I guess, one part of the game, what would you say has been the biggest, most growth you guys have made during this stretch?
I mean, it was a couple of things. First of all, we struggle with turnovers. I think so. We shaved those down a little bit, and certainly you have more shots on goal, and then for defense was a weakness a little bit. Now we finally get better at that, and offense. We always had offense. It's just you need to make plays, you need to make shots, and finally now we look a little bit better, and I think so. That's the main reason.
Thanks, Goran.
All right, Goran, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the break.
All right, that was Goran Dragic. Let's listen to Jimmy Butler to finish up this pregame show. You guys already saw the starting lineup, but we can go ahead and discuss it right after these guys are done talking. So let's go and listen now to Jimmy Butler, and then read all your messages.
How much better does it feel to go into a week-long break at 500 versus had you lost this game and gone in under? Just from a sort of mental state of mind that you can reset the season 18-18, half the way through, another half ahead of you.
Feels good. Fresh start whenever we get back. Get everybody back, get everybody healthy. It's good to not have a losing record. I still think we can be a lot better, which we will be whenever we get back. But it is good to have some days off and recover for your mind for the second half of the season.
Into the game, it just seemed like there was another one of those moments when they got within 4 after you had led by 17 and sort of enough is enough. Was that sort of the mindset that you've come too far in the last 2-3 weeks to let this one get away?
Just win at all costs. Get some stops, score some buckets, continue to make the right plays, and we're going to have to live with the result. Obviously, it was a win. We take that. But it was a team effort, man, and I think KO was huge for us tonight. Dre, Goran, everybody, team effort, team win.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, you're a relatively young guy, but to see Dre do what he did, and especially after Stan went out and intentionally fouled him and make that statement dunk, what was it like to see that?
That's what he does. He's a winner. He never questions what you ask him to do, which is incredible to me. And he just, guards, shoots the open shots, knows where the ball has to go. He's so smart. So he's stepping up, making free throws. Obviously, it's funny because he was doing dunks like that in the warm-up lines. I was like, you're never going to do that in the game. Behold.
Thank you.
Anthony Chiang, go ahead.
Hey, Jimmy, late tonight you were running some actions with Goran there. I know you guys have done it in the past, but what makes that action so effective, and how enjoyable was that for you to kind of execute together there and down the stretch?
Yeah. Obviously, I love playing with Goran. He's so smart. He does everything well, finish, obviously shoot the tray ball and get everybody involved. And he's basically running the offense late like that, calling where guys need to be. I'm just listening, telling him, yo, put me where you want me to be at. he made some great plays to myself, to Tyler, to everybody. Goran's key to us. He's going to be even more key in the second half and in the playoffs.
And I know you guys learned a lot about yourselves, obviously in the bubble, but with this new season and kind of the new circumstance you guys are operating under, and everything you guys have been through over the first half, what have you learned about this roster, through the first 36 games?
That we can't make any excuses. That nobody cares if guys are in and out of the lineups. We got to go out there and do our job because we always have enough to win, and that's what we're gonna leave that at. Nobody cares.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Mateo Mayorga, go ahead.
Hey, Jimmy. How much of a responsibility is it for you to play at a higher level when Bam is out?
I'm just trying to make sure that we win, along with everybody else on the team. When Bam is there, he's doing the same thing. I play the same way, pass it whenever I'm not open, shoot whenever I am, sometimes shoot whenever I'm not. It doesn't change. I just think the game's a lot easier when we got 13 out there.
Thank you, Jimmy.
All right, Jimmy, that's it. Thank you.
Peace. What a break, man. None of y'all call me, man. None of y'all. Don't ask me to get on no Zoom.
So that was Jimmy Butler, but after they beat the New Orleans Pelicans to get to 18-18 record to start the second half of the season. So let's review the starting lineup today for the Miami. It's Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Casey Okpala, and Kelly Olynyk. Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Casey Okpala, and Kelly Olynyk. That's the starting lineup for tonight. The Miami Heat facing the Orlando Magic. This is the end of our pregame show tonight. Remember to join us right after the game for the postgame show here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Of course, go to PrizePicks.com and use the promo code 5 FIVE to get a 100% match on your deposit. And of course, go get your Biscayne Bay Brewing for the game tonight. Enjoy the game tonight. So thank you guys very much for joining us today. And let's read some of you guys' comments before we go. Hi, Alejandro. This should be, or maybe, the last game for KO. Who knows? Instead of getting a big-time trade, we're getting LaMarcus Aldridge. Shake my head. Okay, Miami Heat are just going into the floor. The Heat have to take Cousins no matter what for the rest of the season, because if not, Boston or 76ers can have Rudy and Cousins is better idea than LaMarcus Aldridge. Why KC and not Achua? Well, we'll see. Remember, Eric Spoelstra not always gives more minutes to those guys that are in the game, so we'll see how he uses them, how he actually gets minutes to both of them tonight against Orlando. So tonight we have the trophy gold uniforms and atmosphere and everything. You'll see it once you turn on your TV, and just let us know if you like it or not. All right. Have a good night. Enjoy the game, and we will see you soon right after in the post-game show. All right. So thank you very much for being with us. As usual, it's a pleasure for us to stay here and be part of your pre-game routine every time you go and watch the Miami Heat. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the night, and remember to join us for the post-game show here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel.